Part 55. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 541. Lin Yi's statement was obviously not just hers, he would recruit more people to leave with him. Become a contractor of the House of Everything and constantly travel from world to world. Explore the world together, absorb resources and exchange what you have. Sakuramiya surely can almost imagine the future. If it is true as Lin Yi said, he can continue to travel to one world after another. Those of them who have signed a contract with Lin Yi will also receive huge protection. Taking a deep breath, surely Sakuramiya suppressed all the thoughts in her heart. I have completely understood it, and I am willing to sign this contract with you. Lin Yi smiled when he heard this. Then you should read the contents of the contract first. A note appeared in Lin Yi's hand, and at the same time a pen appeared in his hand and he began to write down a contract. Party A, Lin Yi. Party B. Starting from signing the name, Party B will become a bounty hunter of Wanchaiwu, accepting tasks issued by Wanchaiwu to earn bounties, and the bounty will be provided by the client. Party A will take 30% of the commission, and Party B can use the power of Wanchaiwu to go to the unknown world. Party B shall not cause harm to Party A in any form, including Wanchaiwu, Party A's personal information, task information, etc., which shall never be leaked. If Party B violates the contract, it will directly lead to death. After finishing writing, Lin Yi handed the note to Sakura Gong Shirley. This stuff is always going to work. One day in the future, the Red Lotus world cannot hold on any longer. When you are sure you want to leave, write your name on Party B here. I will appear in front of you then and take you out of here. I'm not sure I can deal with the deputy chief's matter. If I can't, I'm afraid I will leave the Red Lotus realm early. Holding this mysterious note, Sakuramiya surely could clearly feel the strange power on it. An idea flashed through her mind. Lin Yi jumped to another world through strange power. What kind of weird object can have such power? As far as I know, there are currently no weird objects in the Weird Object Management Office that can connect to the unknown world. Countless information flashed through Sakuramiya Shirley's mind. In the end, she took the note and kept it in her clothes. She looked at Lin Yi and took a deep breath. I received the item, but I hope I won't need it one day. Lin Yi smiled when he heard this and said, actually, I don't want you to use it one day. Surely Sakuragong looked at Lin Yi and said slowly, I will use my family's power to help you and temporarily hold back the deputy chief. My grandpa has some deep connections with the head of the headquarters. I will ask grandpa for help when the time comes. After all, the deputy general manager took the lead in this matter. As long as my grandfather uses his relationship as the head of the headquarters, he should be able to stop him from taking any rash actions for the time being. However, this is not absolutely possible, so you need to be prepared and be careful of the deputy chief's revenge at any time. Lin Yi smiled and said, don't worry, if the deputy chief wants to kill me directly, it is absolutely impossible. As long as he can't kill me with one strike, then I don't have no chance of killing him. Surely Sakuragong was a little surprised when she heard what Lin Yi said. It seems like this guy still has some confidence. Okay, then I'll leave for now. Looking at Yinjiang Shirley's leaving figure, Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. It's been a troubled time, maybe I have to fight harder. It's not my style to be kicked out like a dog. Thinking of this, Lin Yi's thoughts focused on his own soul. The lotus handprint that represents the fifth path of true life has been lit up 130 times, and less than half of it has become brighter. What will the fifth true destiny be? With my current level of cultivation, it is not difficult to kill a large number of strange beings. As long as you find the right target, you can complete the fifth path of true destiny in the shortest possible time. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at the back of the Wanchi house, where was the mobile thatched house, which he had never used once. Donglan City, I don't know if it has been completely invaded. If there is, move directly there tonight. Destroy the weird existences in the city and complete the fifth true life in one fell swoop. Donglan City was the only city that Lin Yi had ever traveled to once. With a decision in his mind, Kailan began to check the situation on the internet, and soon his face became condensed. Donglan City appeared on the occupied city map, which was an official occupied map released by the Red Lotus Empire. The purpose is to inform the imperial people that those places cannot be passed. Seeing this scene, his eyes showed a trace of solemnity. It's more terrifying than imagined. That family is probably doomed too. Lin Yi couldn't help but think of the family he had helped. The face of the woman from that family flashed through my mind. It was not a good feeling to see someone die. As the saying goes, the rabbit dies and the fox is sad. They are just small existences in this infinite world. Sighing, he looked at the empty Wanchaiwu room. Since the invasion of strange entities a few days ago, the business in the store has plummeted. Throughout the day there were sometimes no more than 2 or 3 guests. There are fewer and fewer customers in the store. Fortunately, we have a lot of savings, so the store can still operate smoothly. But it's not good to live off the wealth. Forget it. Let's deal with the deputy director first. If the fifth true destiny is completed, it will give me the ability to resist the power of the heavenly immortal path, then it's fine. If not, I can only prepare to leave. I can't expect too much from Sakuramiya surely. Tisk, I still don't have enough power. What can I do? Thinking of this, Lin Yi looked at the brandy, absinthe, vodka, whiskey, and Lafite red wine in the hall. Come here, I have something to say. Hearing Ian's words, several people hurried over. The gap between them and Kailan is getting bigger and bigger. The strongest ones are whiskey and absinthe. Both of them have the peak combat power comparable to the 3rd level of the heavenly immortal path, and they are also strong. Absinthe in particular, as Lin Yi's summon, naturally received a huge blessing and became very powerful. After the weird cube swallowed the weird ore, whiskey itself was also strengthened and became more like a normal human. He even learned how to use mobile phones and the internet. Apart from being relatively silent, he is completely like a normal human being. Tonight, I will use the power of the mobile Blackstone slab to go to Donglan City for a large-scale hunt. The target is a large number of strange beings. You only need to do one thing. Just take good care of the Wanchaiwu and kill all the strange beings who intend to enter the Wanchaiwu. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 542. There are many strange things in Donglan City, so this mission will be somewhat dangerous. Brandy, vodka, you two are living beings, you need to be very careful. If it is really dangerous, hide in the underground maze and wait for me to come back to deal with these invaders. Brandy patted his chest and said, Manager, don't worry, my actual combat ability has greatly increased recently. I have completely mastered my talent, and I am basically invincible in single combat. Even if it is a strange thing, I will find its flaws and it will never hurt me. Lin Yi rolled his eyes at him. You should be careful too, don't be careless, after all, strange things are omnipresent, and there are all kinds of them. Some are even completely unreasonable. Don't be careless and lose Jingzhou, you will never live again if you die. Brandy was warned by Lin Yi, and a trace of embarrassment appeared on his face. His enthusiasm was interrupted, and he was like a wilted eggplant. Lin Yi's face was serious. This hunt will be very dangerous, don't be careless. I just need you to take care of the house. Vodka and others nodded carefully, and everyone felt a sense of crisis. They felt that what Lin Yi was going to do this time would not end simply. Among them, brandy and vodka were a little worried, while absinthe, Lafite and whiskey were ready to try. They got huge benefits from the integration of the strange raw stone, and they were just trying to try their own power. Night soon fell, and the whole Honglian city fell into darkness again, and the lights of the street lamps barely illuminated the city. The lighting systems in many places were destroyed, and it was dark. The defensive energy barrier with a hazy blue glow in the sky made the city a little different. It always warned everyone that it was a wartime state, and everyone had to be careful. In the Wanchaiwu, Lin Yi communicated with the strange magic cube and soon connected it to the black stone slab of the thatched house. He saw many bright spots of light, which were the places he had been to in the Red Lotus realm. The farthest point was Donglan City. With the thought, a strange force enveloped the entire Wanchi house. The next moment, Wanchi house began to become hazy, and everything from the top to the underground part slowly disappeared and became illusory. Only a deep pit fell on the ground, which was a square pit with a perfect cut. Until Wanchi house disappeared completely, no one noticed the situation here in this quiet night. Donglan City. The city has completely turned into a black world without a trace of light. Gusts of gloomy wind, endless darkness enveloped this place, and strange shadows flashed in the darkness from time to time. From time to time, there were also terrifying collisions between them, as if the strange existences here would also fight and struggle with each other. In the center of the city, there is a terrifying and deep dark existence, its eyes quietly watching its territory. It was located in the former city council hall, where countless dead bones had been piled up, without a trace of blood, and all the flesh and blood had been sucked dry. A ball-like thing floated here, with two huge eyes flickering on the flesh ball. At this time, it was on the edge of Donglan City. A house somewhere changed silently, and an illusory and hazy scene enveloped the place. About a few minutes later, a brand new house appeared, a two-story building, with a small wooden sign above the door, Wanchaiwu. Lin Yi looked out the French window. Outside was a dark world, but in his eyes it was like daytime, countless strange powers and energies were surging in the air. The sky was filled with dark clouds composed of endless strange powers, blocking the light from the sky. Kaka. Lin Yi slowly opened the door, turned his head and looked at Brandy and others who were fully armed and vigilant at all times. Be careful. Ringing. As the door of Wanchaiwu closed, Lin Yi stood in front of the street in front of Wanchaiwu. His aura was like a bright fire in the dark night, quickly attracting the strange existences roaming around. A strand of silk mixed in the black wind rushed towards Lin Yi. This black silk thread seemed to have a unique will, and the cold murderous intent attacked Lin Yi. Silently, it had come to Lin Yi's forehead and stabbed into his forehead. But at this time, a ray of colorful light flashed, and the power of the five elements divine needle instantly pierced the black thread. It broke directly from the center from the beginning to the end, and a brilliant firework flashed by. This strange existence filled with the aura of the human immortal level disappeared instantly, without any resistance. And this was just the beginning. A dark and twisted shadow on the ground was coming towards Lin Yi's feet. Those shadows looked carefully, and they seemed to be illusory tentacles, and its source was hidden in the darkness in the distance. Wherever Lin Yi looked, a strange and illusory object that looked like rotten meat was hidden. Countless strange shadows extended from its body, sweeping towards him from the ground. With a blank expression, the earth seal flew out of Lin Yi's body, emitting a black light, and turned into a black hill, falling towards the shadow. The earth seal was as fast as lightning, and it flashed to the top of the shadow. Boom! Amid a thunderous roar, the earth seal hit the shadow straight on. A dark glow exploded from the earth seal, tearing the strange being apart directly. The loud noise here seemed to have sounded the clarion call of war, and more than dozens of different strange beings had appeared, covering Lin Yi. But at this time, the five elements divine fan had appeared in Lin Yi's hand, and then the colorful storm exploded in an instant, sweeping around. Rumble. A hurricane appeared out of thin air, covering the area 100 meters in front of the Wanchaiwu. Whether it was buildings, roads, or strange beings, they were all blown into countless fragments in an instant, until a huge firework spread out in all directions. Wisp after wisp of strange power was sucked into the body, all of which were strange powers at the level of mortals and ghost immortals. Although there were many in number, the only thing left after the transformation was only 10 hand seals. Feeling the consumption of the essence in the body, about 10% of the loss. A momentary burst of about 10% is enough to clear a large area of strange existence, as long as there is no combat power at the level of ghost immortal. At this time, Lin Yi did not use the power of the earth immortal spirit, so it was completely unnecessary now. The essence of the human immortal is enough to deal with the current situation. With the intention of the earth immortal level, the range of the magic weapon can cover 100 meters. Basically, the kite flying tactic can be used, and it can hit wherever it points. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 543. The earth immortal's soul trembled slightly, and the majestic energy at the top of the door was sucked into the body, quickly replenishing the consumption of the human immortal body. The brilliance of Lin Yi's true destiny flashed, and he saw through the infinite time and space, and saw the direction of the most strange existence in Donglan City. There are quite a few. The further inland, the more strange existences there are. There is even a big guy in the center, who is definitely an earth immortal level existence. Looking at its aura is terrifying. Holding the destruction cane in his hand, Lin Yi moved forward step by step towards the center of Donglan City, and one step was 10 meters. It was as if he could shrink the earth into an inch, a person among the gods. Soon he was far away from the Wanchai. At this time, there was a blank area of strange existence outside the Wanchai. Some strange existences gathered here, most of them were strange in form, and most of them were invisible strange existences. At this time, it seemed that a strange existence discovered the Wanchai, and then it slowly floated in. But what greeted it was a fist the size of a casserole, full of strange power. The punch from whiskey was invincible, and it instantly blasted the invisible strange existence into pieces. At this time, more strange existences slowly floated in from the French windows and backyard of the Wanchi house. But the guards of the underground maze had all rushed out, gathering in the backyard, front yard, and second floor. Any strange existence that entered the Wanchi house would face their fatal pincer attack, with at least 2 or 3 attacks, and at most 4 or 5 attacks. The dead strange existences would be absorbed by the strange magic cube. However, Lin Yi didn't care about all this, and he walked on the road leading to the center of Donglan City. At this time, he had transformed the skills of the human immortal body into the essence of 9 heavens mysterious ice. The area within a radius of 10 meters turned into ice and snow, and any strange existence close to him would be instantly frozen into popsicles. Then it turned into powder, and was directly deprived of vitality by the cold. At this time, he was like a storm of death, depriving all the existence close to him of life. In a short period of time, at least hundreds of strange beings were killed. At this time, he had advanced hundreds of meters, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes, because the first strange being of the ghost fairy level appeared. It was a huge strange being with a body of 5 meters. It seemed to be an orangutan that had been transformed by strange power. Its body was wriggling with strange hair like a caterpillar, and its 2 eyes were also pitch black. There was even a third eye between its eyebrows, which looked very strange. It saw Lin Yi and took huge steps and ran towards Lin Yi. The ground was shaking under its huge weight. Lin Yi narrowed his eyes and frowned. Suddenly, the gifted organ in the pineal gland in the brain moved slightly, and Lin Yi flashed slightly. A black light shot through the position where he was just now, but it was the forehead of the huge orangutan-like monster, and a ray of light shot out. The light went directly into the ground, and a hole the size of a human head appeared, which was bottomless. However, Lin Yi saw clearly that the pit was about 100 meters deep underground, and the power was amazing. The soil melted directly under the black light, and no one knew where it disappeared. But at this moment, Lin Yi jumped up lightly, and the next moment, the space-time canvas started. When he appeared again, he had reached the back of the giant gorilla's head. The destruction crutch also appeared in the head of the giant gorilla at the same time. The power of destruction was like a surging wave, instantly infusing into its brain and body. With the blow of the destruction crutch, the terrifying power of destruction directly erupted in its body. In just a few seconds, the infinite weird power swept every corner of its body. Rumble. A violent explosion sounded, and this weird existence collapsed instantly, and its huge body turned into countless black fragments. The fragments turned into ashes in mid-air and drifted into the void. A huge strange power poured into Lin Yi's body, and then under the transformation of the spiritual wave in Lin Yi's body, the 145th handprint was lit. Lin Yi continued to move forward, like the spokesperson of death. All the strange existences approaching him would be killed in an instant. A trace of strange power was absorbed into his body, transformed into spiritual waves and injected into the lotus handprint. One lotus handprint after another was slowly and firmly lit up. At this time, 150 lotus handprints had been lit up, almost half. At this time, only more than 10 minutes had passed since he came to the city. This was a huge gain, and he felt a little happy in his heart. At this speed, I can unlock all the fifth true destiny in an hour at most. I can even complete all the next true destiny here. I don't know if there will be a sixth true destiny after the fifth true destiny. This thought flashed through his mind, and his steps moved unwaveringly towards the center of the city. The wanton killing seemed to have attracted the attention of the strange existence of the earthly immortal level in the center of the city. The countless tentacles around a huge strange being quickly contracted and formed a huge wing. With the flapping of the wings, the huge body slowly floated up, rising little by little, quickly passing through the Parliament Hall and reaching the sky hundreds of meters high. There was a huge gaze looking down, looking in the direction where Lin Yi was moving. Lin Yi's figure appeared in the eyes of this huge strange being, quickly attracting its attention. Seeing Lin Yi killing everyone in his own territory, this strange existence seemed to have no reaction at all, and just looked at Lin Yi quietly and coldly. 10 seconds later, black light spots began to appear one after another in front of the huge eyes. The terrifying and strange power permeating the surrounding void quickly converged towards these black spots, and more strange power was compressed into these light spots. When the concentration of these black light spots reached the limit, dozens of dense black rays of light shone towards Lin Yi's position. The speed of the black light was very fast. He was in front of Lin Yi in an instant, but just before the danger came. Lin Yi's talent had already noticed their arrival, and his body avoided the scope of the light with a slight flicker. But these rays of light were not motionless, but tracked his body and swept toward him until he was completely submerged and divided. But the strange thing is that although he was divided and submerged by the light, he was not dismembered. His body seemed to not exist in this world, and the black light had no effect on him. Lin Yi looked at the sky. Hundreds of meters in the sky, a huge monster was floating there. All the attacks came from there. He narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "This is a big guy. The house of everything I created." Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 544. At this time, Lin Yujing had entered the Earth Immortal path. His Earth Immortal Yuan Shen could leave his body at any time and fight in the sky, but he did not do so. Instead, a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he disappeared in front of the enemy in the blink of an eye. He used the True Destiny Unlimited to enter the underground, and at the same time came to the house next to the nearby street. There were also various strange existences in those houses, which could also provide him with enough strange power. He was not interested in rushing up to fight with the strange existences at the level of the earth immortal path. This world is already full of strange existences. Killing one more is not much, and killing one less is not much. He didn't need to fight with his life, and he would leave the Red Lotus realm sooner or later, and fighting hard would be more unprofitable. He had only one purpose here, to complete the fifth true destiny as soon as possible, which was the most important thing for him. Facing the sudden disappearance of Lin Yi, the monster in the sky was stunned for a moment, and a trace of emotional anger flashed in his huge eyes. There was an illusory thick black inside its eyes, and the whole world seemed to have changed in its eyes. There was no scene that could escape his gaze. All the buildings on the ground were seen through by him. Anything hidden in them could not escape his gaze. And Lin Yi was naturally exposed to his sight. A black light gathered in the depths of his pupils. The wings made of countless tentacles, like amplifiers, madly absorbed the strange power that permeated the surrounding void and finally input it into his pupils. The violent power poured into it madly, and a black light with a diameter of 1 meter cut through the time and space and instantly arrived in front of Lin Yi. However, at the moment before the crisis came, Lin Yi's innate ability sensed the coming of danger. The time-space canvas flashed, and he disappeared in this area again, not caring about the monster's sky sniping at all. At the moment he left, the position where he was just now was directly penetrated by the black light column, and a huge black hole was burned through the ground. The light column was not static. It swept horizontally directly, and a huge deep pit appeared on the ground, as if it was cut by a knife. The location where the time-space canvas appeared was just within the range of the light. The moment Lin Yi came out of the time and space shuttle of the time canvas, he was just covered by the black light column. However, in this instant, the boundless destiny had already unfolded, ignoring the power of this glory. However, Lin Yi immediately realized that the monster in the sky seemed to have the ability to see through everything, somewhat similar to the true destiny of observing everything. Moreover, this level of long-range attack is comparable to a large laser weapon. And if he wants to resist this power, unless he uses the power of the Earth Immortal, he can only use the boundless destiny. Facing this powerful attack, Lin Yi still has no intention of going up and fighting with this monster. He. At worst, I'll go to the sewer. I want to see how much power you can squander. Thinking of this, Lin Yi's eyes swept to determine the location of the sewer, and he sank into the sewer in a flash. There are also strange existences everywhere there. At this time, he no longer walked and killed slowly like in the past. He seemed to have turned into a gust of wind, and the 5 elements of the needle covered the front of Lin Yi under his control. A stream of light spun at an astonishing speed, piercing through all the strange existences in front of him. In a flash, it was 10 meters or 20 meters, bringing up a huge 5-element storm, crushing everything that entered it. He was too powerful. The power of the Earth Immortal Dao gave him the ability to continuously extract essence from the void, and then infuse it into his human immortal body. Then he infused the essence into the 5 elements divine needle, always exerting most of the power of this magic weapon. Although the power did not reach the peak of the magic weapon, it was as easy to kill the strange existence of the human immortal or mortal level as cutting grass. One by one, the strange power was drawn into his body, and the sewer completely turned into a slaughterhouse. Occasionally, there was a ghost immortal level existence, and Lin Yi would quickly use the power of the Earth Immortal Dao to exert the power of the magic weapon to the limit and kill the opponent with one blow. Essence became a regular force, while immortal energy was the decisive force. Essence can be replenished quickly, and immortal energy needs time to transform. Lin Yi accurately controlled the balance of power consumption. He crossed a distance of thousands of meters in the sewer and killed at least hundreds of strange beings in a short time. No matter what power these strange beings had, they could not have any effect on him. At this time, his earthly immortal soul consumed only 5%, and his essence was always maintained in a perfect state. Lin Yi and the deputy general manager had a battle, and he clearly saw all the consumption of the deputy general manager. He had not noticed it in the past, but now he suddenly realized that the deputy general manager had completed the construction of the real body at that time. Every time he fought, he used immortal energy instead of essence, because the opponent had completely abandoned his past body. So in the battle, every consumption was not so easy to recover, especially when dealing with some small fish. Immortal energy would also be used, which was very uneconomical. Therefore, he learned this lesson and used more of the essence of his human immortal body as an attack energy source. Because the essence of the human immortal can be replenished at a very fast speed if it is operated by the earthly immortal soul. Moreover, the power of the magic weapon can reach at least 50% to 70%, which is enough to deal with ordinary strange creatures. The huge eye in the sky looked through the ground and looked into the deep area inside the sewer. Lin Yi's figure was like lightning, constantly moving quickly, making its long-range attack not very effective. And Lin Yi's killing was simply a provocation to it, and he didn't take it seriously at all. The huge eyes of the angry monster revealed an extremely angry light, and then his body began to undergo huge and strange changes. In the center, the huge spherical body began to slowly crack, the huge eyes began to shrink, and a strange human figure appeared in the center of the huge gas. The cracked part of the body was merging into the huge wings. Soon a huge human-shaped object with a height of 5 meters slowly appeared, with 2 huge wings on his back. They were woven by countless strange tentacles, and they were more than 10 meters long when opened. At this time, there was a huge eye in the center of the monster's chest, and the eye appeared vertically on the chest. Countless blood vessel-like bulges radiated from the surroundings of this eye to the chest and abdomen of the human figure. Its wings flapped slowly, and it rose rapidly into the sky. Soon it reached a height of thousands of meters, and then its wings began to flap at a strange frequency. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 545. The huge strange existence began to rotate in the sky. Then it suddenly swooped down from the sky at an astonishing speed, bringing with it a fierce wind pressure. Rumble. The terrifying sound of breaking through the air continued to sound, and it seemed to break the speed of sound in a short time. Like a falling meteor, it suddenly smashed downwards. And the position he chose was just above Lin Yi. The terrifying speed, huge mass, and infinite black strange power, the air seemed to be ignited. A black and red-hot flame burned on the surface of the falling monster. Extremely compressed air, a behemoth with a diameter of more than 10 meters, crashed into the ground. Rumble. As if the thunder in the sky had struck the fire in the earth, the meteor fell, and the ground sank directly, affecting a range of more than hundreds of meters. The largest shock wave smashed everything within this range, and countless fragments flew around. Some strange existences with shapes were torn apart by countless fragments and shock waves in an instant. Lin Yi raised his head from the sewer, watching the huge strange existence falling from the sky, hitting the ground, revealing a sneer. When the opponent was moving, Lin Yi had already observed it through the true destiny. However, Lin Yi did not intend to stop or dodge this attack. This attack from the sky had a large range, and the opponent could change direction at any time during the dive. When he first discovered the attack of this strange existence, he had tried to move hundreds of meters. But the diving strange existence can always change the direction of the dive quickly. So, no matter how he dodges, it is absolutely impossible to avoid the opponent's lock. At this time, the sewer ceiling where Lin Yi was located collapsed directly. A huge rock fell towards him, and a dark figure followed behind the falling rock. Lin Yi narrowed his eyes, and the space-time canvas and true destiny were activated at the same time. The next moment, he appeared 10 meters away from the collapsed sewer. A beam of light from the 5 elements divine needle pierced the strange existence behind the falling ceiling. The 5 elements divine needle was about an inch long at this time, with 5 color light flowing on it. Countless runes could be seen with the naked eye, flashing continuously in this five-color light. When a dull sound like a metal collision exploded, the five elements divine needle was directly bounced back by the huge force and shock wave. Lin Yi frowned, and with a thought, he controlled the flying five elements divine needle. After one strike, he had already sensed the horror of this strange existence. Just now, he controlled the five elements divine needle, not only with essence, but also with the Buddha light condensed by mighty Vajra. He exerted 100% of the power of the five elements divine needle, but he did not pierce the skin of this strange existence. His true destiny and Taoism saw clearly that the skin on this monster was a peculiar structure. Almost 50% of the strange power in his body was compressed on his skin. So the five elements divine needle with the strongest penetrating power in his hand could not pierce the opponent's skin. If the attack fails, immediately flee thousands of miles away. Lin Yi always remembers his purpose, which is to perfect his true destiny, not to fight to the death. With the cooperation of True Destiny Daija and True Destiny Wujiang, he immediately selected the next place for slaughter. After a few flashes, he has arrived at a building on the ground. There are more than 30 invisible strange beings gathered here. Various white tiles, blue and white wall paint, various rooms one by one, and a huge hall, all show what this place is, an abandoned hospital. In this hospital, some strange beings are wandering around. Among them, there are several strange beings wearing doctor and nurse clothes. Their faces are twisted, like a black vortex. The arms and feet are also spiral-shaped, sharp like a sharp weapon. Lin Yi's arrival obviously attracted their attention. Chiji. They made strange sounds and rushed towards Lin Yi one after another. But what greeted them was naturally irresistible power. In an instant, the brilliance of the five elements divine needle pierced their vital parts like a laser. Under the light of the true destiny solution, the flaws on them and the source of their strange power were extremely clear and there was nothing hidden. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The sound of breaking through the air continued to sound, and all the sources of their strange power were pierced, and they also collapsed and died under the colorful light. After doing everything, Lin Yi disappeared here again in a flash. Rumble. A huge roar sounded from the ground of the hospital, and the place where he just stood was directly destroyed by a huge black shadow from underground. The black figure spread its wings, broke through the ceiling of the hospital, and flew into the sky. Roar. After being easily thrown off by Lin Yi several times, this strange existence at the level of the earth immortal made an angry sound. The eyes on his head flashed with an incomparable black light, tracking Lin Yi's traces. The vertical eye on his chest opened, and black light was gathering in it, turning into dozens of thumb-sized black light sources. Then, these light sources suddenly ejected. Each one was only 5 millimeters in diameter, and the power of extreme compression even distorted the space. The light penetrated the space directly and disappeared in the area 1 meter in front of the monster's chest. At this time, Lin Yi's expression suddenly changed. The talent sent an extreme warning of danger, which was a danger that could not be avoided by the talent ability. Without any hesitation, Lin Yi used the true destiny. Dozens of black lights shone directly from the surrounding space, covering every corner of his body. He looked like he was torn apart by the light, but all the black lights just passed through his body without causing any harm to him. And the next moment, he had disappeared here and appeared more than 10 meters away. The huge strange existence in the sky showed a trace of doubt in his eyes. It was obviously very strange, why Lin Yi was hit by himself, but he was not injured at all. You know, his attack can pierce the limitations of space, even if the opponent uses some kind of space-level power to dodge. It will also be affected by his power, at least it will be injured. And the opponent can completely ignore his two-eye attacks, which is very strange. But this strange existence did not get discouraged because his killing move was avoided. On the contrary, it became more angry and irritable. Once again, he took off, staring at Lin Yi's figure, and he was going to attack again. Boom! The sonic boom sounded again, and a huge black figure fell from the sky, like a falling rocket. The terrifying air friction formed a compressed air barrier at the tip of this huge body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 546. Lin Yi felt the danger falling from the sky and sighed, "This guy is really sticky like candy, I can't get rid of him. I didn't want to cause you any trouble, okay?" Turning his head to look at the huge strange existence falling from the sky, Lin Yi didn't move, just looked at it quietly. Boom! Another huge shockwave exploded, destroying an area of hundreds of meters in radius, and everything was shattered. The pit sank 5 meters, the underground sewer collapsed, and a figure rushed out from the bottom of the sewer and stood in the air. In the sky, Lin Yi's illusory figure stood there quietly, without any harm at all. Lin Yi's eyes glanced at the strange existence rushing into the sewer, and the space-time canvas started, constantly flashing away. He still didn't plan to entangle with this huge strange existence, because he knew it was very difficult to kill this strange existence. The other party had thick skin and flesh, and it was almost impossible to be destroyed. Even if he used the combination of True Destiny and Destruction Cane, he might not be able to kill this strange being. After all, the combat power of the Earth Immortal Dao level is completely different from that of the lower levels. It is not completely without resistance to the power of the Destruction Cane. The Deputy General Manager is an obvious example, and the Earth Immortal True Body of the Deputy General Manager is not as strong as the strange being. Even he can avoid being killed by one blow, so these strange beings can do the same. Looking at Lin Yi's figure going away, this strange being fell into silence. This time it did not chase after Lin Yi. At this time, his eyes flashed with wisdom, and he was obviously thinking. A few minutes later, something seemed to flash in his eyes. Roar! The terrifying roar instantly spread throughout the entire Donglan city, and countless strange beings heard its cry. Then they gathered madly in the direction where it was. The whole city was like a galloping horse, and one strange being after another rushed out from one dark corner after another. A large number of strange beings gathered around this strange being with earthly immortal fighting power, surrounding it, as if they were meeting their king. Lin Yi also noticed the changes in Donglan city. He looked around and found that the strange beings were rapidly decreasing. The target he had originally locked on was also gathering in the direction where the roar came from. He turned his head to look at the strange being in the distance. The other party's dark eyes stared at him, as if waiting for him to come over. Obviously it saw Lin Yi's purpose. A cold smile appeared on his face, and Lin Yi also saw the other party's plan. Force me to fight you. But you did me a favor. Save me from looking for them everywhere. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and his eyes flashed with cold murderous intent. The 5 elements divine fan had appeared on his right hand, and the 5 elements divine needle surrounded him, circling and dancing. The earth seal on his head was also floating there quietly. 3 streams of earthly immortal power rushed into the 3 magic tools, and they all underwent amazing changes in an instant. The earth-suppressing seal turned directly into a small black mountain, with every detail clearly visible, as exquisite as a real mountain, except that it was slightly smaller in size, and there were countless mysterious runes flowing inside the mountain. In the void, infinite energy was converging towards this small mountain, and it looked like it was growing slowly. On the 5-element divine fan in Lin Yi's hand, the 5 feathers seemed to be alive, and a phantom peacock could be seen emerging slowly on the 5-element divine fan. It danced slowly and skillfully between the 5-element divine fans, and there were countless fine floating patterns on each feather. The 5-element divine needle surrounding it were now 1 foot long, and the countless brilliance on them seemed to be composed of 5-color runes, all trembling slowly. At this time, he had already injected the Buddha's light into them. All 3 magic tools were upgraded to the limit, and once they exploded, they would be the real power of earthly immortals. In the sky, countless energies were gathering towards Lin Yi, and at this time he had already activated the true life source. Whoosh whoosh. The sound of a terrifying hurricane seemed to be heard in the void. A deadly pressure descended from nowhere, covering the area of 100 meters around Lin Yi. Lin Yi felt a little mental pressure when he controlled the 3 magic tools with his mind. Obviously, controlling the 3 magic tools at the same time, and using the true life source to forcibly integrate more energy, has put a little pressure on his mind control. The power of the earthly immortal is the power of the fusion of essence and spiritual thoughts. Once it erupts, it will be earth-shattering. At this time, the strange earthly immortal monster in the distance also felt the terrifying breath from Lin Yi, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. There were tens of thousands of strange beings gathered around him, and almost all the strange beings in the entire city were gathered together by him. Tens of thousands of strange beings, even Lin Yi could not kill them all in a short time. He also needs to grind and kill bit by bit, plus the recovery of strength. It will take at least several hours to do it. At this time, he gathered all his strength, and the 3 magic weapons carried almost 30% of his strength, just to obtain enough strange power in the upcoming collision and hatch the 5th true destiny. At this time, the strange existence at the level of Earth Immortal Deo had already reacted. Roar. Another strange roar. All the strange existences received the order, and their eyes all looked at Lin Yi. Then the strange roars continued to sound one after another. Chiji. Hiss. Hiss. All kinds of sounds almost turned into a torrent of sounds, rushing towards Lin Yi. One after another, strange figures rushed out from all corners of the ground and the sky, attacking Lin Yi. This vast and endless strange existence is enough to make anyone shiver all over. At the same time, his mind first encountered the first wave of terrifying attacks. Countless mental shocks have ignored the distance and come directly. Some provoked the infinite darkness in his mind. Some are stimulating his spirit, trying to make his spirit split. Others seem to make his spirit fall into hallucinations. But Lin Yi just said softly, "True destiny and perseverance." All attacks from the spiritual level fell into the air in an instant. They could not touch Lin Yi's mind and spiritual world at all. Lin Yi was like a god in the sky, watching them calmly as they rushed towards him. The distance between Lin Yi and these strange beings was not far, only a few hundred meters. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 547. With the speed of these strange beings, it took less than a minute to reach Lin Yi. Within a radius of 10 meters, there were at least 400 or 500 strange beings from the sky, the ground, and the underground. But when they pounced in front of Lin Yi, they collided directly with each other, and they did not touch Lin's existence at all. Lin Yi seemed to be non-existent, standing among them. Even if a strange being passed through his body, it could not touch him. At this time, the colorful storm exploded from the 5 elements divine fan in Lin Yi's hand. Endless 5 elements extinction divine light gushed out from it, covering every place up, down, left, and right. At the same time, the 5 elements divine needle brought up a brilliant colorful torrent, surrounding him and rotating around. The speed was extremely fast, bringing up a colorful storm. The earth seal fell from his head and fell straight to the ground. Endless power spread from the earth seal to the ground below. The violent vibration accompanied by the wonderful power shattered everything under the ground. The ground within a radius of 100 meters collapsed in an instant. Storms, earthquakes, and colorful brilliance spread outward from Lin Yi as the center. Everything was reduced to ashes. One after another, the strange beings were shattered under the impact of this infinite power before they could figure out what was going on. Everything was heading towards death, and no one could resist this power. At least these strange beings at the highest level of the ghost immortal Dao could not do it. Only some strange beings with extremely strong bodies or other special abilities could survive. 100 miles around became a dead land, and the power did not end here, but was still spreading outward. The strange beings were like robots that did not know what death was. In the face of such a huge impact, they still rushed to another person one after another. It was a few seconds, and the power that Lin Yi burst out was once again submerged by the strange beings. One after another, pure strange power merged into Lin Yi's body and was transformed into spiritual waves by him to light up the fifth true handprint. At this time, the radiance of the true fate had reached 300. Less than an hour after arriving in Donglan City, Lin Yi had already lit up nearly 160 or 170 lotus handprints. This speed shocked him. However, looking at the strange beings that continued to rush forward and completely submerged this place, feeling the earth immortal soul in his body, he consumed about 30% of his power. Although the spiritual wave increased greatly after condensing the fourth true fate, it only consumed about 5% at this time. But he knew that he couldn't continue now, and shook his head secretly. It's time to recover, and fight them later. There's still a long time. Lin Yi's own strength has reached 3 times that of an ordinary Earth Immortal practitioner at the first level. His attack is almost equivalent to consuming all the power of an ordinary Earth Immortal at the first level. If it were an ordinary Earth Immortal master at this time, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to stand up. But for him, it was at the critical point of rapid recovery. The recovery of power has a siphon effect. The more power accumulated, the faster the recovery will be. The siphon effect of power recovery is basically divided into several levels. 100% to 70% is one level, 70% to 40% is one level, and 40% to 10% is one level. The last level is from 10% to exhaustion of power, and the recovery speed is geometrically reduced. Now Lin Yi's consumption is at the first level, and the recovery speed basically only takes a quarter of an hour to recover to the peak state. The true destiny flashed, and the next moment he had disappeared here. The space-time canvas was activated, and he disappeared in the encirclement in a few flashes, away from the center of the city. At this time, the strange existence of the earthly immortal level suddenly moved. A huge force surged out of its body and enveloped Lin Yi, who disappeared in the distance. The black light locked Lin Yi, not letting him disappear from his sight. The terrifying existence of the earthly immortal level locked its eyes on Lin Yi. Seeing his rapidly disappearing back, a trace of anger and coldness appeared in his eyes. Obviously, Lin Yi's missed attack and the means of escaping immediately made it feel humiliated. The wings behind him suddenly flapped, with great power and speed, like a meteor, chasing after Lin Yi from behind. Countless strange beings followed closely behind him, like a torrent, and he was the top of this torrent, the existence at the top of the wave. Their speed was very fast, and any building in front of them would be washed away. The huge strange existence knocked down one house after another. Under the smoke and dust, the remaining buildings in Donglan City were quickly destroyed in the raging torrent. More and more strange beings around joined this torrent. The strange beings in Donglan City were still gathering here. Lin Yi naturally felt the pursuit from behind, but he didn't care. He was in a state of boundless true destiny, and only needed a little power to accelerate continuously. Although the pursuit from behind was magnificent and devastating, it was useless if he couldn't touch him. Lin Yi now had only one tactic, which was to consume a small amount of power for continuous bleeding and finally complete his true destiny. Time passed by minute, and the power in Lin Yi's body was rapidly recovering, and the infinite energy in the void was swallowed by him. Soon, the Earth Immortal Soul had recovered to its peak state. The 3 magic weapons appeared in his hands again. The true life source and the power of the Earth Immortal were infused, allowing them to adjust to their peak state and burst out at any time. At this time, the torrent formed by the weird beings was still quite far away from Lin Yi. Lin Yi suddenly turned around and rushed towards the weird torrent. At the top of the torrent, the huge winged weird being saw Lin Yi turning back and suddenly stopped. But it did not order the weird beings behind him to stop. Countless weird beings turned into a torrent, rushing towards Lin Yi, who was rushing. Rumble. The huge force tore the ground, and countless attacks fell on the area where Lin Yi was, turning it into ruins. Thousands of weird beings directly submerged Lin Yi in it. But the next moment, another colorful radiance spread, black earthquake waves, and gorgeous storms exploded from the countless strange beings. Wherever it passed, any strange being would be torn to pieces in an instant. At the moment when the radiance burst out, a beam of light as thick as a human head descended. From the vertical eye on the chest of the strange winged being in the sky, it shot out and aimed at the center of the colorful storm, where Lin Yi was. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 548. The vast and terrifying power, almost equal to the speed of light, shocked Lin Yi. The next moment, the black light directly penetrated the colorful storm and the gorgeous colorful light, and pierced Lin Yi's chest. But unfortunately, even when releasing the power of the magic weapon, Lin Yi was still in the state of boundless destiny, ignoring all damage, without any flaws. However, the consumption of spiritual waves suddenly dropped by 5%, and the power of his magic weapon was also impacted. Facing this scene, Lin Yi was awed. He knew that this was a test from the monster. He wanted to test whether he would be in the state of boundless destiny and ignore all damage when releasing his power. The other party was actively looking for his own flaws, and as long as he found them, the next step would be a storm. But unfortunately, it was disappointed. The power of Lin Yi's magic weapon was still erupting, covering thousands of strange beings within a radius of 100 meters, and they were all killed directly. Countless strange powers poured into Lin Yi's body. After being transformed by the Yiling Jing, the fifth true destiny was completely illuminated. In the center of the handprint lotus, countless powers flowed and turned into a brand new lotus seed. It was crystal clear, a piece of green, and as beautiful as the purest gem. The petals of the handprint lotus slowly shrank and turned into a handprint, which was printed on this lotus seed. In the end, this lotus seed was covered in 365 handprints and rushed into the spiritual wave sphere in Lin Yi's mind. And the other four true destinies began to build a new balance and cycle, and endless spiritual waves erupted from it. This time it was a tenfold increase. The surge in spiritual waves will bring Lin Yi's combat power to an eruption. At this moment, a message appeared in his earthly immortal soul. True destiny is immortal, creating something out of nothing. When Lin Yi got this information, he immediately knew what this true destiny represented. He represented true immortality. As long as his spiritual waves are not exhausted, he can instantly repair any physical or mental damage. Even if his body does not exist, without even a trace of ash, he can rely on spiritual waves to recover. Even if his earthly immortal soul is destroyed, he can still recover. Immortality, true immortality. At this time, the spiritual waves transformed from the strange existence he killed have not been consumed, and all rushed into the Yiling Jing. Under the huge spiritual wave injection, the sixth true destiny appeared, and 365 handprints also appeared on it. It still takes a lot of time to complete it. Feeling the majestic spiritual waves in his body, looking at the huge strange existence rushing towards him in the distance, Lin Yi felt that he might be able to compete with the other party. His heart moved. I can try the power of immortality. Thinking of this, he also rushed towards the huge strange existence. Maintaining the state of boundless true destiny, ignoring all the obstacles around, the broken crutch in his hand has been grasped. One after another, black light burst out from the opponent's body, locking him, as if to penetrate him. Obviously, the opponent is trying to make him reveal a flaw through consumption. The opponent obviously does not believe that he can maintain this state forever. At this time, as the spiritual wave surged, Lin Yi noticed that the consumption of Zhenming Wujiang was also decreasing. Facing the terrifying attack of the weird existence, every 1% consumption can allow him to withstand a fatal attack. The distance between the weird existence of the earthly immortal level and Lin Yi is not far, only a few hundred meters. They walked towards each other, but collided in just a few seconds. But this weird existence still did not touch Lin Yi. And Lin Yi had directly passed through the opponent's body. At the moment he passed through the weird existence's body, the destruction cane stayed in the opponent's body, and only the end was held by him, exposed behind the weird existence. Then, the power of Zhenming Wujiang disappeared from the destruction cane. All this happened in just a moment. The surging spiritual waves were injected into the destruction cane, and the majestic destructive power instantly burst out from the cane, sweeping every corner of the body of this strange being. A majestic force suddenly burst out from the body of this strange being, suppressing all the destructive power of the destruction cane, and even flowing back into the destruction cane. Lin Yi noticed the problem at the first time, and his face changed. The power of the true destiny covered the destruction cane, blocking the return of the power of the destruction cane. At the same time, the power of the space-time canvas flashed, and he disappeared behind this strange being in an instant. The violent power flashed wildly, and the black light gushed out from the back of this monster. At some point, a huge eye appeared behind it, looking at the direction where Lin Yi disappeared. The power bursting out of the eyes was tracking Lin Yi, without stopping. The black light penetrated a range of thousands of meters, always penetrating Lin Yi's body in the true destiny state. The continuous consumption of spiritual waves was happening constantly, and Lin Yi was shocked. It was the first time he encountered such an attack. With a thought in his mind, the body that was originally running on the ground suddenly changed and rushed underground. It disappeared on the ground in a flash. Even though there was a black light tracking it, the speed of the light naturally decreased a lot under the obstruction of the soil. Taking advantage of this obstruction, Lin Yi flashed several times in a row and finally got rid of the tracking of the black light. His eyes looked towards the huge strange existence. It can be clearly seen that the opponent's strange power has dropped sharply. Obviously, the previous attack, its continuous attack, caused the strange power to drop sharply. Lin Yi's mind flashed, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. Now his power consumption is only 30%. If he goes back at this time, the opponent's consumption is at least 50%. As long as he returns, there is a great chance of winning. But just when this thought flashed through his mind, a strange scene happened. This boss-level strange existence split from the center of the body, and its eyes were split into two halves, which were full of strange sharp teeth. Dozens of strange existences around instantly rushed into its split body. Then the abdomen began to close suddenly, trembling violently, as if chewing them. Under Lin Yi's gaze, the breath of this boss-level strange existence began to recover at an alarming speed. Taking a breath, Lin Yi immediately realized the problem. That is, where are the dangerous places of these boss-level strange existences? This is their main battlefield. They can rely on devouring their vassals to restore their strength at any time, which is something humans cannot do. Facing this boss-level weird existence, those low-level weird existences have no resistance at all. They don't even resist, just like young swallows returning to their nests, and spontaneously become its food. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 549. This ability to control subordinates is terrifying. Thinking of the endless strange existences on the other side of the world, Lin Yi was almost certain. Once these things appear on a large scale, with their group obedience, humans have absolutely no chance. Temporary victory has no meaning at all, as long as they can continue to come, pollute, and continue to bleed human society. Countless creatures in the Red Lotus world continue to die and weaken, so there will eventually be a day when the change will change from quantitative to qualitative. When human beings can no longer prevent the arrival of strange existences on a large scale, it will be the time for humankind to be completely destroyed and the Red Lotus world to be completely destroyed. Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel awestruck. He had almost seen the inevitable outcome of the future of mankind. I couldn't help but think of how peaceful it was when I first came to this world. In the past few years, with the outbreak of spirituality, strange existences have appeared more and more frequently, and there have been more and more threats. The outbreak of spirituality, in his opinion, is a kind of self-rescue for the Red Lotus world. But this kind of self-rescue also makes it easier for strange forces to invade. The world seems to want to bring back the sect and rely on practitioners to resist the invasion of these strange beings. But how did it know that these sects had already chosen themselves? The only thing he desires is to use the power of the Great Tribulation to advance his own realm and enter the supreme realm of heavenly immortality, so that he can survive across the world. Just like the predecessors of the major sects countless years ago, they had already calculated that the doom of the world's destruction would be irresistible. Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel a little sad. The destruction of the Red Lotus realm is inevitable. It's better to plan ahead. There are two goals now. First, strive to survive in this weird era where there are a lot of invasions. Condensing all the true destiny, although I don't know how many true destiny there are in the Foreign Spirit Sutra. Second, find the way to the immortal path. Third, the service life is exchanged for enough precious materials and magic weapons. With goals for the future in mind, Lin Yi made a decision in his mind. He turned around and left without any hesitation. He had no interest in confronting this strange boss. Lin Yi fled underground quickly, as elusive as a ghost. On the ground, the strange boss-level being who had returned to his peak state just watched him go away, but this time he did not pursue him. It seems to have understood that pure pursuit has no effect as long as he cannot defeat Lin Yi. Then there is no way to change the situation of the battle, and in the end it will just be a constant stalemate. This strange being with wisdom finally chose to give up. Lin Yi had quietly returned to the Wanchaiwu view on the edge of the city. He appeared silently in the lobby of Wanchaiwu, immediately alerting Brandy and others. "Boss, you're back," Brandy said with a hint of surprise in her eyes. Just now, he saw the terrifying smoke and black light in the city. The colorful lights, the raging storm, and the shaking of the earth were terrifying just to think about it. Seeing Lin Yi's safe return, he let go of his worries. Absinthe and Lafite red wine were hiding aside, their little eyes kept wandering, and there was a hint of disappointment on their faces. Obviously Lin Yi was not dead, which disappointed them. This meant that they lost an opportunity to escape from control. Lafite red wine waved his fork fiercely and thought to himself, "One day, I will get rid of your control. Just wait, stupid human being." Vodka has remained silent, faithfully fulfilling his mission. In the past, he still thought about leaving, but as Lin Yi became stronger and stronger, he realized more and more that he had no chance at all. At this time, everyone in the Wanchaiwu, except Lafite red wine, is growing. Only his power comes from blood, which is different from all of them. Even he couldn't practice the techniques of this world. He quietly searched for many mortal techniques on the internet. But it is a pity that, perhaps due to a problem with his body structure, he is still unable to practice. So what he can do is to try his best to do everything he can while he is gradually falling behind, so as to avoid being abandoned in the future. Even if you become an ordinary clerk, responsible for entertaining customers, it is better than being eliminated silently. As the saying goes, when the times eliminate you, they won't even tell you. Among them, whiskey is the most innocent, because his wisdom has not sprouted for a long time, just like a child. And from the very beginning, he recognized Lin Yi as his master. Looking at Lin Yi with respect, he welcomed his return. Lin Yi could see the expressions of everyone in the Wansuwu house, and Lin Yi knew very well what they were thinking. But this is not important to him, everyone has a contract with him. Under the power of the contract, no one can betray him. With the power of restriction, he naturally doesn't care what they think. Lin Yi's faint voice sounded, "Our mission is over today. Maybe we'll have to go again in a few days." As he spoke, his mind had communicated with the strange Rubik's Cube, controlled the moving black stone slab, and activated its power. The House of Everything quickly became hazy and slowly disappeared from Donglan City. In Red Lotus City, its figure appeared again at the original location of the Everything House, no different from when it left. The returning Wanchaiwa quietly blended into the night of Honglian City. Honglian City is basically the safest place in Honglian realm. It was not until this time that Lin Yi really breathed a sigh of relief. He swept his eyes over everyone. "Let's take a rest today. The patrol will be handed over to the maze puppets." Turning back to his room, Lin Yi sat cross-legged on the bed and began to practice meditation, while conducting experiments on the immortality of the true destiny. He looked at his left hand, and the destruction cane was held in his right hand. The next moment, the destruction cane suddenly pointed at his left palm. The terrifying destructive power covered his left hand in an instant, and at a speed visible to the naked eye, his left hand began to turn into ashes. And this ashes was still spreading to his whole body. This speed was amazing, and the powerful human immortal body could not resist this terrifying destructive power at all. At this time, Lin Yi's fifth true destiny emitted a faint green light. The green light quickly spread to his arm, and the destructive power dissipated as if it had encountered a natural enemy. At the same time, his arm grew out of thin air, or should I say, it returned to its original state. There was no weakness, discomfort, or rejection, and it was just as tough as his previous arm. At this time, he sensed the consumption of his spiritual waves, which was almost negligible. Thinking of this, he began to make further attempts. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 550. He controlled the destruction cane and stabbed directly at his chest. In an instant, his body was pierced. Severe pain, coldness, and emptiness burst out from his body, making him feel the true feeling of death. The power of destruction spread throughout his body at a speed visible to the naked eye. The next moment, Lin Yi's body had completely turned into ashes. Only the earth immortal soul shrouded in a hazy glow still existed. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow diamondsuit. At this time, Lin Yi's true destiny trembled slightly, and with the earth immortal soul as the center, a flawless body grew out again. Lin Yi could feel that his body was no different from the past, and even his vitality had returned to its peak state. He was almost a little bit unbelievable, and felt the consumption of his spiritual wave, which was less than 1%. This level of consumption means that he can die 1,000 times without any problems. At least the body can be tested without worrying about death at all. It is safe within 1,000 times. Next is the earth immortal soul. Thinking of this, Lin Yi's earth immortal soul stepped out of his body. He slowly stretched out his left hand, and the soul was like a physical entity, in which some flesh and blood could be vaguely seen. The destruction cane was under his control and instantly pointed to his left hand. The power of destruction quickly erupted, and the left hand of Lin Yi's earth immortal soul began to collapse. Although the speed was about 10 times slower than the collapse of the body. But it was still visible to the naked eye, spreading along his left arm to the entire earth immortal soul. A kind of severe pain from the soul made Lin Yi feel faint. The true fate flashed slightly, and the wonderful green light quickly covered his earth immortal soul, and then the power of destruction disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, the earth immortal soul also recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. The pain from the soul disappeared in an instant, and in just a few seconds, he returned to his peak state. Feeling the recovery of the earth immortal soul, he paid attention to the consumption of the spirit wave. He frowned, about 2%, far exceeding the consumption of the human immortal body. In other words, the stronger the essence, the more consumption needs to be restored. So, if the earth immortal soul is completely dissipated, can I still recover? After thinking about it, Lin Yi did not take action. Because he himself was a little unsure whether this immortality could really revive himself when his earth immortal soul was destroyed. If not, he would go to experiment, which would be his own death. If possible, there will always be a chance to encounter this situation in the future. After all, in this world where weirdness is rampant, anything can happen. At this time, Lin Yi began to practice the sixth true destiny. He began to conclude new seals one after another in his hands, and the spirit waves deposited in the Yiling Jing were quickly extracted and injected into the concluded seals. This time he killed a large number of weird beings and successfully condensed the fifth true destiny. A considerable part of the remaining energy gathered in the odd spirit scripture. And these spiritual waves were immediately absorbed into the hand seal after he formed a new hand seal lotus. In just about an hour, the sixth true destiny, a lotus composed of 365 hand seals, had appeared on his spiritual level. And 35 of them were lit up, and the accumulated spiritual waves transformed from pure strange power were all consumed. He took a deep breath, his eyes showing a trace of solemnity. I wonder what the sixth true destiny will be. I once deduced that the purpose of the other spirit's scripture was to allow me to gain freedom. Now the Tao, the origin, the boundlessness, the perseverance, and the immortality have almost made me an existence that ignores all harm. Do I have any weaknesses now? I don't know, I can't guess. The origin of this other spirit's scripture is mysterious, and it is the source of my crossing. The most important thing is that it must rely on killing strange beings, or a little bit of hard work to condense the true destiny, as if it is the natural nemesis of all strange beings. This scripture must hide secrets that I don't know. Perhaps only after I condense all the true destinies can I discover the mystery. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look forward to the day when he condensed all the true destinies. My true destiny has endowed me with a strong ability to survive, but this is my trump card. It is best not to use it casually. Even if you want to use it, there should be no witnesses. No matter it is a battle or other situation, just use the power of cultivation and various strange items. Only in this way can the enemy never figure out my details, and I can live better in this world by staying strong and mysterious. After taking a deep breath, Lin Yi continued to practice. For the time being, he has no other earth immortal skills, so he still practices Vajra. In the Yuan Shen, the power of Buddha's light is constantly flowing in the Yuan Shen and Jin Dan according to the operation mode of Vajra. Maintaining the synchronous practice of spirit, energy, and spirit, a trace of flesh and blood is slowly extending in the Yuan Shen of the earth immortal. This is a process that requires time to polish. It would take hundreds or thousands of years if we follow the original progress of cultivation. Even if the spirituality of the world is exploding now, the energy activity in the air has reached an unprecedented level. It would take at least several decades to complete the second level of the earthly immortal path. This is inevitable if we rely solely on normal cultivation. However, humans are best at using external objects. The second level of the earthly immortal path can also be accelerated by using elixirs. However, although this kind of elixir is not as precious as the earthly spirit pill, it is also very valuable. If you want to trade, you also need a channel and enough items of equal value. After practicing for about an hour, Lin Yi stopped this slow practice. He looked at the time. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. After receiving about 100 years of life from Wang Lu last time, no new wishes have come. If you want to exchange resources for cultivation, these things are indispensable. Souls and lifespans should be very popular in the section. After all, there is a limit to the lifespan below the earthly immortals. The secrets of the highest level of the sect will not be told to the people below. The destruction of the world has long been unstoppable. They will only try their best to delay the arrival of this time before they step into that realm. And the lower level practitioners still think that there is hope for the world. Once their lifespans are at an end, they will find ways to prolong their lives. This gives me room for operation. You can use Sakura Mia surely. Just when Lin Yi was about to use the wish shrine again, there was a knock on the door outside the Wanji house.